Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Speechless. I'm your host, Phares, 23-year-old conservative activist, host of Speechless here on, obviously, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, wherever you're watching from, maybe even Rumble. But I'm also a host of Speechless on the radio, too. But because I can't necessarily fit all my content onto that radio show, it's right here wherever you're watching from. And to make sure you don't miss a minute of any of this, whether it's through Breakaway USA or on my own channel, Speechless with Kev. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, all that fun stuff. And we are live right now, and so get those comments coming. I am here to address any questions, comments, concerns that you have, while also guiding the conversation through some news that has been happening throughout the week. And given that I was a recent college graduate just back in December, and I will be attending law school come this next fall, I find this first story to be something that I'm particularly interested in. For a long time, we've known, prior to even my college experience, that our institutions of what is considered to be higher education have been swept into the sea of liberalism. Quietly, a serpent slithered its way through our educational institutions, somehow infecting them with this idea that America is bad, communism is good, and anything that counters the idea of the West, Judeo-Christian values, must be good. And not only has it infected the institutions, thus because they are educational, they infect our youth. Some, like myself, have been able to escape it. We've been able to get through and put our heads, for some, put their heads down. Others debate, argue, and attempt to expose others to simply a different way of thinking. However, now our institutions are enshrouded, many of them, with encampments funded, provably, by George Soros, the leftist billionaire, protesting for a war we're not technically directly involved in, and for the terrorists. That's what's happening. Students and invaders of those campuses are protesting for terrorists. But are they even really protesting for terrorists? Now, some might be, but then there's others, like this Columbia University student who headed to a pro-Palestine protest at NYU, and when asked why she was there, her answer will simply shock you. Take a look and a listen to this student and what she had to say regarding why she was at the protest at NYU.
And what would you say is the main goal with tonight's protest?
I think the goal is just showing our support for Palestine and demanding that NYU stops. I honestly don't know all of what NYU is doing.
Is there something that NYU is doing?
I really don't know. I'm pretty sure they're... Do you know what NYU is doing?
About what?
About Israel. Why are we protesting here?
Palestine will be free!
I wish I was more educated.
I'm not either.
Oh.
I came from Columbia. I was there up at Columbia, and we came down. They said NYU students needed our support. So I came down. I heard there's lots of cops. Some people were saying it was getting dangerous.
There's a lot going on in this video. And so let's break it down segment by segment, shall we? I wanted to let you get the full, and this is once again somebody who's supposed to be educated. However, how am I supposed to take anybody seriously when they look like a cow with that piercing sticking out of their nose? But let's break some of what she actually says down. The initial question.
And what would you say is the main goal with tonight's protest?
I think the goal is just showing our support for Palestine and demanding that NYU stops. I honestly don't...
Okay, so first, she had the talking point for a second. It's showing our support for Palestine. Very, very basic, very surface level idea that pretty much anybody can grasp onto. You see a Palestine flag that seems to be waving in the flag or in the wind, you'd probably understand, okay, those people are showing support for Palestine. Pretty much anybody could have told you that. And then quickly it turns to, I got to be honest, I don't know. I don't know. Why? For what reason? Nothing. That I'm out here doing what I'm doing. Keep listening.
Don't know all of what NYU is doing.
Is there something that NYU is doing?
Is there something that NYU is doing? Like, they must be supporting that. Why? That must be. I'm out here protesting. This is a follower, everybody. This is the textbook definition of a follower. Keep listening.
Really don't know. I'm pretty sure they're. Do you know what?
Not just no. She's so much of a follower that she's like, let me phone a friend. Like this is a crappy version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Let's go.
NY is doing about what? About Israel. Why are we protesting here?
Why are we doing this? I'm out here. I'm a part of this, but why? I don't even know. Idiot.
I wish I was more educated.
I wish I was more educated. Wow. Likely the internal struggle of pretty much anybody trying to get a college education nowadays. I wish I was more educated. Yeah, for real. I wish you were too.
I'm not either.
Oh.
I came from Columbia. I was there up at Columbia, and we came down. They said NYU students needed our support, so I came down. I heard there's lots of cops. Some people were saying it was getting dangerous.
Some people were saying it was getting dangerous, and so she thought, this just shows you, like, that's icing on the idiot cake that she's currently baking herself. Is she goes, I heard it was getting dangerous. And so she was like, I'll go. No smart person is like, man, I heard this situation was dangerous. Unless you are a person that seems to be of a certain level of valor and you wanted to step in and try to quash the danger, squash the danger. But which is not exactly what this woman looks like, is the person that wants to squash the danger. But she's like, oh yeah, I heard there was danger. Let's go. Like, it's not really the smartest thing, but this is what is currently happening on our college campuses. There are clips and clips and clips, practically endless clips of what is going on our college campuses. And I think it's perfectly encapsulated by the idea of, I wish I was more educated. I wish everybody on these campuses was more educated. However, some do seem to be on the issue. They just are educated in a way of which they want to support terrorists. They've been fed the lies. They're educated on a misinformed sense of the world, or they are so lost and deep into an idea that secularism, atheism, anything that counters the Western world and the idea that we all have inherent value, hard work breeds success. The ideas that have formed America, they've been deeply rooted in some of these individuals to hate that. And that's what they should hate. And so this young woman right here that we can see, like that, she is a perfect example of somebody who is in the early stages of, hey, everybody, I have to be contrarian. I have to hate everything that actually is good, because that seems to be the way of the young leftist nowadays. Now, the video that I previewed at the very beginning of this shows exactly what these college students are doing. I find it very important that we watch this, because while she did not know why she was there, what she was trying to do, those who are educated on the issue that are not even really students, we do know that many of these people are getting busted. They're coming from different colleges, or they're coming simply because it's similar to the BLM stuff. BLM riots were not people in the towns that were protesting. It was all these people basically on a tour to go and cause as much havoc and chaos as humanly possible. And so what we see here in this next video that I'm about to pull up is people explaining exactly what the purpose is. Why these encampments? Why? And when they tell you who they are, believe them. Believe them. Take a look and listen to this clip. So what they were doing in this video, as you can see, is they were fully erecting a Palestinian flag. What was it in place of? Well, it was actually in place of the American flag. Take a look at some of these pictures we can see here. This is what it looked like before, and this is what it looks like after. They were replacing the American flag with the Palestinian flag. This is what they want. When they tell you who they are, believe them. What they want when they say death to America, they'll try to spread lies and say, oh, well, we don't really mean that. We mean it's some kind of a metaphor where it's we want to destroy what America stands for, which in and of itself is still bad. But no. What they really mean is they want to destroy America. That is what they want to do. These terrorists, these are anybody who subscribes to this is a domestic terrorist. If you are putting up the Palestinian flag in the place of the American flag, you yourself are committing a treasonous act. Any of these college students, if they have any level of foreign allegiance, because that would be who we should start with, anybody who has any kind of a foreign allegiance, if you are here on a visa of any kind, a student visa, and you are out there cheering this on, you should be deported immediately. Immediately, you should be deported. No ifs, ands, or buts. It should not be a question whatsoever. However, that doesn't seem to be exactly what the lefties want to do. Not even a little bit. There are some states, however, that are handling this a little bit of a different way. And I'm going to get to that, but I do want to also point out, so that was actually also, I want to say that erecting the Palestinian flag instead of the American flag over the American flag was at Harvard University. Now, I've been talking for months about the fall of the Ivy League. Now, this is the fall of America on the Ivy League. Wake up, everybody. My message to everybody out there, if you were not already, wake up. Excuse me. Wake up. This is what has been happening. I've been talking about it for over 5 years. This is what is happening on our college campuses. For a long time, Charlie Kirk has been saying that college campuses are creating an environment in which everybody looks different but thinks the same. And that was a quote in terms of DEI. He would say that we're focusing so much on skin color, everything like that, instead of actually what people are thinking. And not only are we creating people that look different and think the same, we're also creating people that look different and think the same bad things. The same bad things. The things such as America is awful, terrorists are good, Nazi ideology, genuine Nazi ideology, for real. And some in Congress are even cheering it on. Here's a perfect example of that. Just recently, AOC went to Columbia, which was where a lot of this started, Columbia University. And she had some very interesting things to say to these protesters. Complimentary, in fact. These people that are taking over private property have shut these colleges down, essentially. And AOC's out there cheering them on. Take a look and a listen.
Thank you so much for coming out here. It's great to support the game. People with different backgrounds in politics just here for the cause.
I'm a freelancer.
I don't know if you heard that, but she complimented the leadership. The leadership. Remember that.
Thank you so much. Really. Forgive me if I ask for a
Maybe outside.
Okay.
All of these people around here should literally be arrested. They're terrible people. So should she. And then she compliments the leadership. Before I get on a tangent about how I just am despised by this, take a look at this clip now of one of the leaders of this protest. Not even kidding. This is one of the leaders. His name, I'm informed, is Kimani James. And this is one of the leaders of these protests. This is somebody in my generation, around my age, and it's absolutely disgusting. Take a look and listen.
Business. Zionists, they don't deserve to live comfortably, let alone Zionists don't deserve to live. The same way we're very comfortable accepting that Nazis don't deserve to live, fascists don't deserve to live, racists don't deserve to live, Zionists They shouldn't live in this.
Whoa, wait. This makes no sense. So he's like, the same way we're comfortable saying that Nazis don't deserve. Here's the thing, actually. I don't agree with any of that. I don't agree with Nazis, but they deserve to live. They live in ignorance, but unless they commit a crime worthy of the death penalty, they deserve to live. And even I have qualms with the death penalty, but they deserve to live. A racist deserves to live, especially by this person's standards, because I guarantee you they see racism much differently than I do. A Zionist who is not in the same camp as a racist or a Nazi definitely deserves to live. I think Zionist in and of itself is kind of a slur, but this is the person that AOC complimented.
This world, if we're truly in it, and when I say in it, if we're truly living life,
who have entered the camp, we are going to create a human chain. Where I am standing. So that they do not pass this point. And infringe upon our privacy. And try to disrupt our community.
So then this is like him actually leading the protests and stuff. Can I also just point out a little sidebar for everybody that this individual's voice is probably one of the most annoying voices I have ever heard. Like, seriously, listen to it one more time.
Don't deserve to live comfortably, let alone Zionists don't deserve to live.
Zionists don't deserve. Yeah, you're one of the most annoying people I have ever heard speak ever. And it's very, very, that just in and of itself is probably one of the most disgusting things I've ever listened to. But don't worry, everybody. When he says the words verbatim, Zionists do not deserve to live. That's what he said. I'm quoting him. You all just heard it. We could play it one more time here.
Alone, Zionists don't deserve to live.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. And then he goes on a further rant, making analogies to what he means.
The same way we're very comfortable accepting that Nazis don't deserve to live, fascists don't deserve to live, racists don't deserve to live, Zionists, they shouldn't live in this.
Yeah. Okay. So he said it, like we all heard it. I just want to make sure everybody heard it, because there's some times where I live and I just think to myself and I'm like, Kevin, maybe you're crazy. Maybe the way you see the world is absolutely crazy and you are so messed up and like you don't actually hear everything the way people say it and you have a problem with context. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I think this all the time. So then I have to validate it. So we all heard that. We all heard exactly what he said. And then he goes to Twitter, as one does in this day and age. And he has a statement for everybody. This is him. This is his Twitter. I'm going to pull it up a little bit bigger on screen for everybody. Maybe even go to the side. And I'll pull this up. So read my statement below. He goes, on Thursday, a video of me taken back in January began to circulate online when what I said was wrong. Every member of our community deserves to feel safe without qualification. I also want people to have more context on my words. Okay. So if he had said just like that, those first two lines, this would have been like, wow, okay, he's really owning up to what he said. No. Don't worry. I also want to have more context for my words, which I regret. Far-right agitators, he's talking about people like me, went through months of my social media feed until they found a clip that they edited without context when I recorded it. I had been feeling unusually upset after an online mom targeted me because I am visibly queer and black. Unfortunately, okay, so just so you guys know, everybody now he's going to claim that he said all of these, that he said that Zionists, people that believe Israel should exist, people that believe he's going to say here that the reason why he said all of these people shouldn't live and that they should die is because people are racist and homophobic towards him. That's what he's literally going to say. And then you can read the next sentence here. Unfortunately, this is not my first time being targeted by online trolls and harassed by people who use racist and homophobic slurs. And then he goes on to list one of the homophobic slurs. And worse, in an effort to intimidate student protesters like myself. So he said that people should die online and like all of them should just die because he got called mean names. I get called mean names all the time. In fact, later in the show, I'm going to show you how somebody called me a Nazi. No one should die for that. And a mentally unstable person does things like this. Then he continues to say, CUAD and the Gaza Solidarity Encampment have made clear that my words in January prior to my involvement in CUAD are not in line with their community guidelines. I agree with their assessment. Those words do not represent CUAD. They also do not represent me. Here's what I wish I have said in that video that is circulating of me. I reaffirm the sanctity of all life. Zionism is an ideology that necessitates the genocide of the Palestinian people. Not true. Actually, the Palestinian movement and the Hamas movement necessitates the genocide of Jewish people and those that reside in Israel. But okay. So you're only against genocide when you perceive it to be on the side you agree with. All genocide deserves to be safe from all people. Deserve to be safe from physical harm. Wait. All people deserve to be safe from physical harm. Palestinians have been subjected to decades of brutal violence and now genocide by Israel. Okay. But you literally just said that people should die. So how do you reconcile that? You don't. I'm frustrated that the words I said on Instagram live video have become a distraction from the movement for Palestinian liberation. I misspoke in the heat of the moment, for which I apologize. Misspoke. You misspoke. See, up at the top of this, it's a video taken back of me in January. What I said was wrong. But now there's a difference between what I said was wrong and I said the wrong thing. Misspoke means I said the wrong thing. What I said was wrong is taking ownership. So at the beginning of this, he'll take ownership. And then he quickly goes into blaming that to claiming that he's actually the victim here. He's the victim. It's actually not. It's not the people that I said should die. It's the fact that some people were mean to me online. And then it quickly changes into I misspoke. I said the wrong thing. My focus remains on drawing attention to the plight of the Palestinian people and the ongoing genocide in Gaza. Go over there and see what happens, you queer black man, which is not an insult. I'm only describing him the way that he describes himself. You visibly queer black man, go over to Gaza and bring the attention to the genocide to the forefront and see what happens. Read the Quran. Read the Quran. See what they do to people that identify like you. You're a chicken for KFC. That's not the only drama, and that's not the only person who decided, AOC is not the only person who decided to try to make a political statement out of these protests and everything. In fact, even Green Party candidate Jill Stein got arrested. She got arrested from going to the protests. We can actually take a look and a listen to that clip when I get it pulled up here. I also have a quick little intro for that. Sorry, this is what happens when I produce my own show. I don't get everything right here all the time. But Green Party presidential candidate Jill Stein was among the dozens of people who were arrested during an anti-Israel protest at the St. Louis campus of Washington University on Saturday evening. Local NBC affiliate KSDK reported that Stein, the far-left Jewish political figure, so she's Jewish person that is anti-Israel, fascinating, who has supported the BDS movement targeting Israel, spent 6 hours in police custody and was released at around 1:30 a.m. just this morning. Take a look and a listen to this clip in which they depict her getting arrested. This is Jill Stein, the Green Party presidential candidate. You can see she's right over there getting arrested. So yeah, so she's getting arrested there. This is obviously, it's clearly a political tactic so that she can try to say, hey, oh my God, look, I got arrested. Protesters at Washington University have been calling for an end to Israel's war against Hamas in the Gaza Strip and demanding that the private college cut ties with Boeing over the aerospace company's relationship with Israel. Similar demonstrations have popped up at universities across the country, resulting in scenes of chaos, as we've shown, and arrests by law enforcement. And so this is something that I find very interesting. There's arrests by law enforcement. And being somebody who is traditionally for law and order, somebody who traditionally likes the idea of that we arrest people who are breaking laws. We punish people that are doing bad things. I usually would be very supportive of things like this. I would usually be supportive of things like what Ron DeSantis had to say just yesterday. Take a look and listen.
You think about what happened when you have these Hamas demonstrators out. They're taking over bridges and they're taking over roads. And first of all, you don't have a right to do that. You have someone get stuck in traffic. How do you know if someone may need to get to a hospital? Someone may need to pick up a child somewhere, and you're just going to commandeer the road because you have this ideological predilection. They tried to do that in Miami, and what happened? In 10 minutes, they got dragged off the road where they belonged, and we're not going to tolerate that. You look at these universities. When we have students who are doing things that, I mean, look, some of the stuff with the Hamas, I think is absurd that someone would go out and demonstrate on that. But, you know, when you're chasing Jewish students around, when you're not letting a Jewish professor enter a building, when you're targeting people like that, that's not free speech. I mean, that's harassment. That violates appropriate conduct. And yet at Columbia, at Yale, all these places, those folks rule the roost. They do whatever they want. And these administrators and the presidents of these universities are weak. They're scared and they don't do anything. You know, you do that in Florida at our universities, we're showing you the door. You're going to be expelled when you're doing that stuff. And you know what? The minute people start to face consequences, you are not going to see this nonsense going on.
You're not going to see this nonsense going on. Well, I'm not necessarily against expulsion. Now, if expulsion happens, that's good. What I worry about, which often happens during a lot of protests, is a certain sense of catch and release, in which it's like, hey, everybody, we're just going to clear the area. We're going to grab these people. We're going to hold them in detention. We're not really going to, it's going to be like maybe they get some petty thing or something. It's really not going to end up with anything. Yeah, that's a problem. To some extent, I don't even think that we should we should help these universities. To some level, I don't think that we should help these universities. Now, if you're the governor of a state, and I'm not going to go against what DeSantis says. I mean, like, me going against it doesn't really have any effect on anything anyways. But my point being is that we need these universities to deal with their own problems. Genuinely, we need these universities to deal with their own problems. That's the way that it works. I mean, if you're going for years to consistently push these leftist talking points, push this idea that we're going to like hate America, we're going to be pro-communism, we're going to be all of that stuff, then you don't get to all of a sudden be like, oh my gosh, everybody, please help me. When the problems that you caused are catching up with you. You don't get to all of a sudden be like, oh my God, now all these students that hate America are now hating America and taking over the campus, hating America. You don't get to all of a sudden be like, oh my God, now we're gonna figure it. Now we need help. Now we go save them. No, we need to punish these students. We do. We need to punish the demonstrators. We do. But we also need to punish the universities. These universities should not get off scot-free. They enable this behavior. Columbia especially enables this behavior. I mean, think about it. When a conservative speaker comes to a college campus, a lot of these same college campuses, they don't allow them to speak. They shut it down. And if they don't shut it down, they do nothing or very little to protect the safety of those speakers. They allow the leftist savages to rage, pull fire alarms, disrupt. In some ways, make threats of physical violence. But now they set up encampments funded by George Soros, by the way. You can fact check me on that. It's true. Encampments funded by George Soros. And they're like, oh, boo-hoo, poor us. No, punish the universities just as much as we punish the students. Why not? The funny thing is that there's actually one university that couldn't necessarily get a protest going, and the reason is absolutely hilarious. This is a perfect example of the left eating their own. If we look right here, you can see out of the New York Post, University of Washington anti-Israel encampment postponed over a lack of diversity. Over a lack of diversity. There wasn't enough diversity for this encampment. It's absolutely, that's why they weren't going to have it here. So a planned anti-Israel encampment at the University of Washington was scraped at the last minute because of a lack of diversity following fierce backlash for not inviting any Muslim, Palestinian, or Arab students. So they were going to have a pro-Palestine protest and not even have anybody who's like from that cultural background. After long discussions, we have had to make the hard decision to postpone our action for several days, the school's Progressive Student Union announced. Thursday, the day its UW Palestine encampment was supposed to take over a quad at 8 a.m. We want to make sure this encampment is a better reflection of the UW community and having an even greater unity with Muslim, Palestinian, and Arab students at the group. This is so funny. So this is literally like, they're not going to, they'll protest everything, but they don't even know what the heck they're actually protesting. University administrators informed Jewish students or Jewish leaders that the school had no plans to stop the encampment unless the event escalates and threatens life safety. However, the initial announcement of the encampment sparked anger at those not involved. Excuse me. After long discussions, we have had to postpone our action for several days. It's literally because of diversity. They didn't have diversity. They're not going to have this because there's not enough diversity. This is hilarious. This is absolutely hilarious. I love it. I love it. And there's so many stories coming out when it comes to these college campuses, but this is just another perfect example and a perfect time for me to tell you right now, don't send your kids to college unless they have a clear set of values, because universities prey on students who don't know who they are not set in what they believe in. And look, here's the thing. You should have your beliefs. Colleges should challenge your beliefs, everything like that. But what I really mean here is like universities prey on students who are going through an identity crisis, and then they offer them the like most destructive identities. They're like, oh, well, maybe you're actually a woman. Or maybe you are an ardent atheist. You're definitely not a Christian, because Christians are mean people. They're all terrible. And that's what colleges do, many of them. And then all of a sudden, your nice, quiet son or daughter that went off to a semester comes back with a different hair color, a set of tits, or maybe not anymore. And now they're telling you that you're an evil capitalist. Your kid can go to college. I did. But make sure they know who they are. And I will consistently say that. Maybe I'm wrong, though. Let me know in the comments, everybody. Like, destroy me in the comments. Bring those comments to me. Let's have a conversation. I see some great ones, like from Jim Adams here saying he's voting for Trump, but DeSantis would have been great too. I get that. Totally. I like DeSantis. That was my guy. But let me know in the comments, guys, what you guys think on any of this. Don't forget, wherever you're watching from, to like this video, subscribe to my channel, follow if you're on Twitter, go find Speechless with Kev on YouTube, subscribe there, comment what you think, share this with your friends, all that fun stuff. Real quick, I got to give a shout out to our sponsors, and then I'll get ready for the next story. Don't go anywhere, though. Kristi Noem has admitted to killing a dog 20 years ago, and Twitter is going crazy about it. We're going to talk about that and a lot more soon here on Speechless.
Blah, 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 blah. What are you talking about? Here, have some freedom to up. Man, the Constitution is awesome. That's what it is.
Yes, Freedom 2.0. They do amazing work. Everybody, you should go check out Freedom 2.0. I got my good bottle right here, which I'm always sipping on throughout a show a little bit when I need some water. So Freedom 2.0, go use code BREAKAWAY at checkout. You can go freedom20.com/USA. Get 15% off. You can go to their new water cooler function, and you can like type some stuff in there, talk about like what you like freedom for, or why you're a conservative, anything like that. And then they'll send you free merch, or you'll have a chance to. So go do that. Freedom 2.0, go to their water cooler, chance to win free merch, get free water, everything like that. Okay, let's get into this next story now here, though. Kristi Noem defends killing a farm pup among criticism from GOP members. Yes, so Kristi Noem is getting a lot of flack right now on Twitter because she admitted in her new book, which is called No Going Back, that she killed a dog. But there's a lot more to it than just that. Outrage has spread across social media platforms late last week after The Guardian reported after last week that an excerpt of Noem's upcoming memoir, No Going Back, which is set to be released on May 7th. The excerpt detailed Noem describing taking her 14-month-old female dog Cricket to a, quote, gravel pit near her farm and shooting her because it was, quote, less than worthless, untrainable, and had killed and eaten several chickens. Now, Kristi Noem is facing a lot of this backlash as she's been slated to potentially be a VP pick for Trump. And so she's going to be under a lot of harsh criticism, which is very interesting. But here's the thing is I actually think that she had every right to kill this dog. And I think that the outrage is absolutely insane. Now, is killing the dog what I would have done? No. But let's look at the entire context of the story. And I'm going to look at the entire context of the story from, or actually, before I even look at the entire context, I want to let her explain some more of the context. Let's go to Twitter here. Today, she made another apology kind of for this, or at least discussion post of this, in which she says, I can understand why some people are upset about a 20-year-old story of Cricket, one of the working dogs at our ranch, in my upcoming book, No Going Back. The book is filled with many honest stories of my life, good days and bad days, challenges, painful decisions, and lessons learned. What I learned from my years of public service, especially leading South Dakota through COVID, is people are looking for leaders who are authentic, willing to learn from the past, and don't shy away from tough challenges. My hope is anyone reading this book will have an understanding that I always work to make the best decisions I can for people in my life. The fact is, South Dakota law states that dogs who attack and kill livestock can be put down. Given that Cricket had shown aggressive behavior towards people by biting them, I decided what I did. Whether running the ranch or in politics, I have never passed on my painful responsibility or on my responsibilities to anyone else to handle, even if it's hard and painful. I followed the law and was being a responsible parent, dog owner, and neighbor. As I explained in the book, it wasn't easy, but often the easy way isn't the right way. Okay. So Kristi Noem is now getting a lot of flack for this on social media. People calling her heartless, a dog murderer. I think some even compared her to Michael Vick, which is what I thought was kind of funny out of all of it. But what I really want to look at is the people that are really mad about this. The people that are really, really mad about this. If you even look and scroll through things on Twitter, some people are, when you look at people talking about Kristi Noem right now, both people on the right and the left, both Republicans and Democrats, were very, very unhappy with this. I'm not really in that. I'm not that big of a critic. I'm really not. And then you could see a lot of people on here being like, people are giving her crap, like, oh, take note, Kristi Noem, I have my dog. Let's see, there's something from the White House Correspondents' Dinner in which somebody says, I'm killing this dinner harder than Kristi Noem kills puppies. Kind of funny. So there's all of these things, people going absolutely crazy about Kristi Noem. Kristi Noem clarifies killing puppies makes up only 3% of what she does. So there's all these people that are in an uproar because she killed like a 14-month-old puppy. And look, I'm not going to sit over here and defend puppy murder all across the board. I wouldn't do that. I'm not a psychopath. But if you look at the full story, Kristi Noem, I'm going to keep this one up here. Kristi Noem didn't kill just a dog because it was bad. No, Kristi Noem killed a dog that had killed neighbors' chickens, had destroyed somebody else's property and in some part their livelihood, and had also been aggressive towards people. There are many instances nationwide of a dog who attacks a child and the child gets brutally injured, if not even dies, and the dog gets put down. Now, this is not an instance in which the dog did kill a child. I'll admit that. Yes, of course. But it very well could have been. And so she put down the dog. Like 20 years ago. I think that a lot of this outrage is fake. I don't believe this outrage is nearly as big as it is. I don't understand why it comes from some of the Republicans, but I don't think, but it's absolutely fake from a liberal. And I can explain exactly why. In fact, I did yesterday on Twitter, and I got a lot of people very mad. And we're going to go through some of the comments on this too, because I think that I think it's worth talking about, and I think it brings up a larger debate. But take a look at this. So I posted this to Twitter yesterday. I said, "Isn't it ironic that many who supported the widespread taxpayer-funded murder of unborn children are appalled that Kristi Noem put down a dog that, one, killed chickens that belonged to neighbors and attempted to attack her when she tried to stop it? Priorities, people." And then I even furthered this because I noticed that some people were getting mad, that I said, "Putting down 100 disobedient dogs that murdered someone else's chickens and attempted to attack a human is more justifiable than a single abortion." Now, if you notice in all of these, I'm not justifying killing a dog, period. But there's been a question that has come up as to, because we have all these liberals, right, that are appalled that she killed a dog. So mad that Kristi Noem killed a dog. But then at the same time, they believe in funding Planned Parenthood out the wazoo and basically saying everybody gets an abortion, like Oprah Winfrey hands out TVs. Like, what the heck? And then I get the dumbest people in my comments like, "Oh, wow, it's almost as if dogs are carnivores. I assume yours is vegan." And I responded, which I shouldn't have. I called him a buffoon. He doesn't understand. He's simply dumb. And then I have people, content warning, by the way, who say anyone who kills an animal for the thrill of being a SF by blowing its head off belongs to a group of people who we call psychopaths. She likely tortured animals as a child, which there is no proof to say that she tortured animals as a child, like at all. This is not about farm living culture. And this is where I really got to the heart of it. This is not actually about killing the dog either. This person that is crazy here is either misinformed, period, and thinks that she just killed the dog for fun, which isn't what happened. Nobody actually thinks that that's what happened. Anybody who actually knows the story doesn't think that's what happened. But then, on top of that, it's not even about killing the dog. What leftists did in this instance, what progressives did, is they found a topic about this person that mildly upset them. Kristi Noem killed a dog 20 years ago. They didn't take any of the context. They never do. They didn't try to understand her perspective by any means. They never do. They didn't even tell the full story. They never do. What they did is they said, "Hey, here's a person we already don't like, and here's something that they did that we kind of don't like. So let's blow it up and make it this huge issue, and then also spread our contextless story and version of it so that everybody else hates her too." This is political. This is not about a moral argument of any kind. I'd much rather have the argument of, do humans have more inherent value than an animal? Because the answer is a really simple and easy yes. But that's not what this is about. Whether or not Kristi Noem killed her dog, which she did, but like whether or not it was for good reason, doesn't matter to any of these people. Nothing that Kristi Noem does is for good reason because they don't like her. Nothing that Trump does is for good reason because they don't like him. Nothing that I do is for good reason because they don't like me. They don't care about context. They don't care about reasoning. They don't care even if she had admitted that she had made a mistake. Even if she didn't, but even if she did admit that and say that, they wouldn't care. because they don't like her. And deeper, they don't like what she stands for. They don't like Christianity. They don't like a traditionally liberal sense of America, that we're free from government oppression. They don't like working for what they have. Deepest of all, they don't like America. And so if that's what you stand for, they hate you and anything that you do, whether it's killing a dog or saving one from a shelter. They'd hate you. Because that story, had she saved a dog from a shelter, would have been Kristi Noem steals dog away from mother. That's what it would have been. Anything she does is bad. So they made it bad. And that's exactly what happened. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments, everybody. Please, please, please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, all that fun stuff. Man, the comment section is a little light today. I don't know what's going on, but let me know what you guys think. Am I wrong? Was she supposed to kill that dog? Was that like, or was she not supposed to kill that dog? I feel like she absolutely was. I mean, it was a threat, a clear threat. And don't forget, wherever you're watching from, definitely please like this video. I see some people have liked it on Twitter and stuff. Don't forget to retweet it as well. Share it. I'd really appreciate that. Please do. And go check out Breakaway USA. Breakaway USA is pretty awesome. Do a lot of great work. And I'm also streaming on their channel right now. So definitely go check all that out. Let's get some of these comments. I see Jim's still in the comments a little bit. But let me take a quick swig here, because I need it. This is what happens when I do a live show, and I produce it on my own. If you guys are interested at all in supporting the show, which don't feel the need to, I'm not begging. I'm just like letting you know that it's there as an option. If you want to support the show through Venmo or Cash App, please consider doing so. I will make sure that I am very appreciative. I mean, I'm very appreciative. I'll tell you that right now, but I can even show other ways of appreciation for supporting me in that way. Very much. I would appreciate all of that. Let me get my next segment pulled up here quick. And let me sorry, I got a lot I'm dealing with on the production end of things, but I will actually, since I am getting things set up, and I'm going to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Take a look. Of course, Freedom 2.0. They are pretty awesome. I really love Freedom 2.0. They do great work and support a lot of great people. So definitely go get your Freedom 2.0 today. Use code BREAKAWAY at checkout, and that gets you 15% off. They do like this reverse osmosis thing, and they also don't use fluoride, so it's not turning you gay. And this water, in case you were wondering, it ain't woke, just like I'm not here today on Speechless. But now it's time for a segment. I don't know if this is going to change the anything that has to do with the layout that I currently have. It might, but I have a segment that I do. It's called Kev's Quick Hits. So here's a little intro video that we have for some of Kev's Quick Hits. Take a look. Yes, Kev's Quick Hits. That's like me apparently like destroying something. I don't even know exactly. Destroying like a computer. That's what it's supposed to be, because I quick hit. I hit these topics quick. And so here's the first one we're going to do. Kamala Harris was on Drew Barrymore's show and discussed her laugh, which is something that has been consistently talked about for kind of quite a while now. Her laugh, Kamala Harris's laugh. Take a look and listen. That's a lie. Nobody loves her laugh. That made like no sense. Let's one more time, just in case I'm an idiot, but like let's try to listen to that one more time. What this looks like. How how you should act in order to be. That made no sense. I mean, like people understood what she was trying to say, but it really like at the end of it, it made no sense. Also, like there is like no diversity in that audience. Is that like all? Does Drew Barrymore only allow women? Is there a single man in that audience? Maybe that one. Maybe could be. I'll take bets. $5. That's a man. No, I don't even know if I want to make that bet. We didn't shake on it. We didn't shake on it. Oh, you guys said that. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Jim, for saying that you couldn't hear it. Where's everybody else in the comment section when you can't hear what's going on there? My sincerest apologies. That must have been a quick issue. But Kamala Harris discussing her laugh on Drew Barrymore's show. Here we go. One more time. I know that some people are like, I'd rather not hear her cackle, but one more time. Here's this.
You were asking me earlier about what it means to be like the first woman. And, you know, it's funny because people still got to get used to this, right? I mean, my staff, for example, sometimes they'll show me little things that just amuse me. Like apparently some people love to talk about the way I laugh.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I love your laugh.
Well, let me just tell you something. I have my mother's laugh. Oh. And I grew up around a bunch of women in particular who laughed from the belly. They laughed. They would sit around the kitchen and drinking their coffee, telling big stories with big laughs. I'm never going to be, that's just, I'm not that person. And I think it's really important for us to remind each other and our younger ones, don't be confined to other people's perception about what this looks like and how you should act in order to be.
Yeah, that made zero sense at all. How this looks like, so you know who you should maybe, I don't know, be.
Right? It's really important. It's important.
I love your laugh, and I love that message.
I love your laugh. No, you don't. No, you don't, Drew. And if you do, you're an absolute liar. But that's what we got. That's Kamala Harris discussing a little bit of her laugh, and then CNN even discussed a little bit more because there's a poll that came out. And this is actual, there was people were trying to understand exactly what was going on with Kamala Harris and how people felt about Kamala Harris. And I could have told you even before any of this research that people didn't like her laugh, that they thought it was weird. But after a rocky start, Kamala Harris emerges as the Biden campaign's lead prosecutor on top issues. This is out of CNN. And just a quick glimpse into this article. For all the efforts, the campaign and Harris's own staff still aren't quite sure what people make of her. In the last few months, they invested in asking voters about her, including having the Democratic National Committee pay for focus groups in Milwaukee, run by an operative who has long worked for her. The bad news? Several people said Harris rubs them the wrong way in all the ways that are familiar from criticism of her. A few specifically cited her laugh, a frequent target of Republican operatives who flood clips of it on social media. Defenders say this plays into sexism. So if you criticize Kamala Harris's laugh, you're apparently a sexist. You are a sexist. Common sense says that you can't hear. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Common Sense? Just make sure. Say yes that you can hear me. If you can't hear something, let me know, like Jim did earlier. Thank you. But apparently, if you don't like Kamala Harris's laugh, you're a sexist. But the problem isn't just her laugh, that it's mildly annoying. It's more so when she decides to laugh. That's the biggest issue. There's been so many instances in which Kamala Harris has decided to laugh at less than opportune times, clearly less than opportune times. And here is just another example of that. If you look right here, we can actually even, sorry, I'm trying to get this all after the audio issue. I had to fix some things. But if I bring this up here, you guys can hear, this is an instance just over about 2 years ago when Kamala Harris laughed during a press conference about Ukraine. You're saying that you can't hear. Can you not hear me? Can you guys hear me right now? Can you hear me talk? I need to know whether or not you can hear me talk before I can keep going for this. Check, check, check. Let's look into my settings, my audio settings. Check, check, check. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Maybe she's a little bit further behind in this. But let's get to this. I'm assuming that you can hear me now. Hopefully, maybe. And then let's get into this clip in which, okay, good. Jim can hear me. That's what I needed. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. This is why I need very active comment section. Come on, guys, let's get those comments going here a little bit more. But this is Kamala Harris, who was criticized for laughing during a press conference about Ukraine just a few years ago. Take a look and a listen to this clip right here.
And I'm wondering what the United States is going to do more specifically to set up a permanent infrastructure. And relatedly, is the United States willing to make a specific allocation for Ukrainian refugees? And for President Duda, I wanted to know if you think, and if you asked the United States to specifically accept more refugees.
Okay. A friend in need is a friend indeed.
Okay, I can first. Okay, so.
And I'm wondering what the United States
literally
is going
like
to
one
do.
of the most inopportune times to laugh, and also a very awkward quote from her as well. And really, that's what I think it is I think it's that she laughs in an instance when it's just uncalled for. And also she's uncomfortable too. That's what I think it really is, that she laughs when she's uncomfortable. Well, she's laughing when she's uncomfortable, but when you are the vice president and you're laughing when you're getting a question about accepting Ukrainian refugees, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all. It's frankly kind of horrific. And so when it comes to your laugh, Kamala, it's not about always just you or sexism or anything like that. It's about your inability to be intelligent. But let's take a look. Next quick hit here, which I know these aren't going very quick. I'm sorry that I had those few technical difficulties, but this next quick hit is a woke preacher has some very interesting claims that he's making. Take a look and a listen to this woke preacher here. And this is why I'm a Catholic, because while Catholics have done some bad things in the past, they at least don't succumb to this bullcrap right here.
Is holy. There has been an assault on the rights of drag. Drag is holy. There has been an assault on the rights of drag performers in this country, and we must call out the hypocrisy and the injustice. Jesus called himself a mother hen longing to gather up her chicks. Gender is a construct, you see.
Gender is a construct. You see, look, I'm sorry. I'm a Catholic, so I can make jokes about church leaders preying on children. And this guy literally looks like if I don't know this man. I don't. I do know that his name is Dr. Caleb J. Lines, but I don't know him personally, and I don't know his conduct. But if I had to put money that a singular church leader was a pedophile, I'd probably put it on this guy right here.
And if Jesus can be a mother hen, then you can dress in drag. I've even heard it said that Jesus was, and humanity is, God in drag. So let me say this again for the...
Just because you've heard it said doesn't mean you should repeat it.
Those of you in the back, drag is holy.
That is probably one of the stupidest things I have ever heard. For a little more context of this story, the video, which was posted with hashtags like, quote, progressive Christian and liberal Christians, reflect Reverend Lines' identity as a, quote, progressive Christian. Lines is currently the senior minister at University Christian Church in San Diego. According to his personal website, he has a passion for, quote, pursuing social justice for the marginalized, demonstrating the good news of God's radically inclusive love, and proclaiming a relevant message for today's ever-changing world. Lyons is also the co-executive director of progressivechristianity.org, which defines itself as an open, intelligent, and collaborative approach to the Christian tradition and the life and teachings of Jesus that create pathways into authentic and relevant religious experiences. This man is a predator. Now, I can't make the claim that this man is necessarily that this man is legally some kind of a pedophile or anything like that. Like I said, I put my money on it, but I don't know for sure. What I can say is that I believe this man is a predator in the fact that he is preying on the signs of the times. He, as a church leader, has abandoned all sense of what church actually is about, what God is about. He has abandoned the basic teachings. God is not all inclusive. And that's the thing. As said on progressivechristianity.org, which defines itself as an open, intelligent, and collaborative approach to Christian tradition, that teaches, there's another quote in here. It's on his own website, he discusses God's radically inclusive love. God is not radically inclusive. If he was, Lucifer wouldn't have been cast away. That's simply not the way it works. Now, God will love all. God's love is unconditional. However, he has certain terms, not of the love itself. His love will always be there. But to be included in the kingdom of heaven, there are terms. He will love you even if you go to hell. He will love you. He'll be disappointed for sure, but he will still love you. And living a life of unapologetic sin will lead you exactly there. And this man seems to not care, but that's because the sin that actually exists, that of which pride is based upon, isn't even something that he recognizes as sin anymore. If you disguise sin as celebration, as pride has so easily done, then you won't even see your sin as sin. And you will take pride in your sin. That's what this man has done. But that's that quick hit. Up next, Jerry Seinfeld has gone viral now on the death of comedy and the discussion of it. This is out of the New Yorker Radio Hour, and I usually hate the New Yorker, but I do find this clip to be quite interesting. So take a look and listen here to Jerry Seinfeld discussing the death of comedy.
It really affects comedy. People always need it. They need it so badly, and they don't get it. It used to be you would go home at the end of the day. Most people would go, oh, Cheers is on. Oh, MASH is on. Oh, Mary Tyler Moore is on. All in the Family's on. You just expected there'll be some funny stuff we can watch on TV tonight. Well, guess what? Where is it? This is the result of the extreme left and PC crap and people worrying so much about offending other people. Mm-hmm. When you write a script and it goes into 4 or 5 different hands, committees, groups, here's our thought about this joke. Well, that's the end of your comedy. They move the gates, like in skiing. Yeah. Culture, the gates are moving. Your job is to be agile and clever enough that wherever they put the gates, I'm going to make the gate. Nothing really affects comedy. People always...
I'm going to make the gate. It's not about, in any way, is it about what society is trying to dictate as what you can say and what you can't say. He says, if you need a diversity committee to determine what's funny or have to placate the lowest common denominator, your culture is doomed. Left-wing and PC culture has ruined comedy. But comedians themselves, recently especially, have come out and been able to swiftly avoid the entirety of that woke stuff. Some of them have been attacked, like Dave Chappelle. But as long as you persist, those who actually enjoy comedy, those who partake in the God-given gift of laughter and joy, will accept even some of the most anti-PC comedy. And there's an absolute beauty to that. Jerry Seinfeld is awesome. He's going to be in a new movie about Pop-Tarts, apparently. Sounds dope. But that's the next quick hit. Next quick hit is Don Lemon says something correct. Seriously, Don Lemon actually said something correct. Take a look and listen to this clip from Real Time with Bill Maher, who I feel like I talk about every week now because he's not an absolute idiot. but take a look and listen to this clip of Don Lemon saying something right, which is like massive news. Shouldn't just be a quick hit, but it's massive news. Don Lemon saying something right. Here's this.
DEI is, look, there's some great things about DEI, but it's not all, roses. And I think we need to take a look at it, and we need to sort of do some rejiggering, because it's gone too far. It's become a religion. And if you don't abide by the religion, then you get kicked out of the church.
Yeah, literally something I've been saying for like years, several years, and Don Lemon finally finds it out. And the only reason he does is because he was a DEI hire that ends up getting fired too, because he didn't subscribe to every little thing. I mean, he's a gay black man, like he's literally DEI's wet dream. And all of a sudden, oh my God, now that I'm not in the club anymore, DEI isn't as great as everybody said so, because I'm not benefiting from it anymore. And so here's the thing when it comes to Don Lemon, whatever you want to call him. I call him Don Lemon because I think it's funny. Is that he is not. It's great. It is great that he's actually coming out. I'd much rather, and while I'll say some mean things here and about him, it's great that he's overall coming out and being mad at DEI and saying like this is crap, because then hopefully more people will jump on that wagon and say, yeah, we need to stop doing this kind of stuff. It's like people are worshiping it too much. But he will never admit, the only way that he could actually fully come out against this and get more people on this side is if he were to also come out and say, I got my job because of DEI. That was wrong. And I promoted DEI on my own show on cable news, which, while the ratings weren't great, still was millions of people. And he promoted it. So there should probably be some level of an apology for that too, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. But let's get on to the next quick hit and final quick hit here. This is a CNN poll that came out just this last week, actually just like today. Very interesting. Take a look and listen. A look and listen to this CNN poll as they explain it.
Our new poll, which was conducted by SSRS, finds Trump is leading Biden, who has ample work to do with his base and with independent voters who are breaking to his GOP rival. In a head-to-head race, 49% of voters say they'd pick Trump for president, compared to 43% for Biden. That's a 9-point Trump advantage with independent voters. And add in third-party candidates, and Trump's lead jumps even more. He has 42% to Biden's 33%, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. gets 16% of the vote. Our poll also underscores the challenges of incumbency, and that voters, 4 years later, have a better view of Trump's presidency compared to Biden's. 55% say Trump's time in office was a success, with only 39% saying the same about Biden's presidency. Our new poll, which was conducted by
Absolutely beautiful to see this. I mean, we see a 6-point lead just there with the other and unsure being 8%. Even if Biden got all of that, he would only be up 2%, which is within the margin of error, actually. And then you can see in some of the other polls here that Trump is up
percent for.
They must not have changed. Here we go. When you actually include all the candidates in there, Trump is up even further, wider gap, 9% in that difference. And a lot of people think that Trump's presidency overall was a success as compared to much less considering that for Biden. So what does this mean? What this means is that Trump's chances, as of right now, if the election were held today, it would seem as though Trump would win by a very good margin. Not quite a landslide. A landslide I would consider at least 10%, but pretty close to a landslide. The problem is that Republicans have a fascinating way of snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. It consistently happens. It so often happens that we look at 2020. We look at 2022, and yes, we could talk about election fraud. I have in this class on this show before, but we can't only blame that. 2022 was not about widespread election fraud by any means. We lost when we were supposed to win, and whether that's about controlling the narrative, or what we're prioritizing as issues, or who endorses who, I'm not here to debate that today. What I'm saying is that we've seen Republicans can snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. But that's the last quick hit. I do have some other stories to cover. And even my next story that I want to discuss kind of builds right onto that as we discuss the idea that there's two or three third-party candidates that could eat away at Donald Trump, at Joe Biden's margin. We're going to talk about all of those, but I do want to give a quick second for our sponsors so I can get my next segments pulled up and everything. Take a look and listen, learn a little bit about Freedom 2.0. And up next, we're going to be talking about RFK Jr., Planned Parenthood, libs and conservatives, all that stuff, and even maybe Afro Man. All of that and more coming up soon on Speechless.
Blah, 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 blah. What are you talking about? Here, have some Freedom 2.0. Now, the Constitution is awesome. That's what it is.
Yep, Freedom 2.0. It's pretty awesome. Go check it out. This water ain't woke. Freedom 2.0. Go and get some. All you got to go is freedom20.com. Use code breakaway at checkout. You get 15% off. They do amazing work. But I want to talk about this next thing. So today is Sunday. Happy Sunday, everybody. God bless you. I'm praying for you. Please pray for me. Today is on the Sunday special of Ben Shapiro's show. He had RFK Jr. on. I don't usually watch the Sunday special this quickly. I didn't watch all of it. But RFK Jr. is an interesting fellow because he has a pretty poor voice, pretty weak voice. I got to be honest. And I mean, like audibly, it's a weak voice. But then along with that, he also is a person where he attracted conservatives off the bat by making Big Pharma a huge target of his campaign. And he talked about, and this was a great time because a lot of people were on COVID and everything. They were like, oh man, like I want to talk about Big Pharma. I want to talk about all the people with the COVID vaccines, blah, blah, blah. Well, the thing is when you talk about Big Pharma, you should also talk about things like mifepristone, the abortion drug that is being sold practically over the counter at CVS and Walgreens. And you want to talk about the abortion industry and how they prey on young women consistently, how Planned Parenthood of all places pushes people towards getting an abortion without actually giving them a comprehensive list of what they could be doing about their unplanned pregnancy. And so the topic of abortion should really be discussed. And when conservatives are hailing RFK Jr., I say, hey, maybe reconsider because he isn't as conservative or as aligned with you as you think. And here's a perfect example. Take a look and a listen to this clip from RFK Jr. on Ben Shapiro's Sunday special.
A pro-lifer looks at a position like a woman ought to have bodily autonomy, and they say that's completely missing the point. We're not talking about the woman's bodily autonomy. We're talking about the baby's bodily autonomy, which is obviously not only the pro-life position, but the position of many mainstream religions, including the Catholic Church. And so when you look at pro-lifers who say, okay, well, I understand that you believe it's a tragedy, but along those same baseline biological lines, it's not just a tragedy; it's a crime against the child because the child has an independent interest. What do you say to that?
I say that I understand that position, and I don't agree with it. I think that the solution of having the state come in and dictate choices that that the woman is making is not that's not a good solution to me. That have a bureaucrat making these very, very difficult moral choices. I think that choice should be between the woman, her pastor, her spiritual advisors, the people who she consults in her life, and that it's a very, very difficult decision.
So you don't believe that the child has an independent right to life, for example, at any point during the pregnancy? I mean, how far is the right to
here's what I would say, man. There's no woman who has who gets pregnant, carries that baby for 8 months, and then decides to have an abortion for some frivolous reason.
But there are instances in which that happens. There are instances in which that happens, and it's not that somebody always knows that there's some people that don't even know they're pregnant somehow. I mean, like, I don't know who that is. I'm not a woman, but I've heard stories in which people don't know they're pregnant until late second, early third trimester. And then they never wanted it.
They're in that kind of case, and nobody in their right mind would do that. And
nobody in their right mind would do that. Well, we have a lot of people in this country that aren't in their right mind. Look at American college campuses literally today.
those kind of cases, there's some kind of those very, very rare cases where that happens. There's always some kind of extenuating circumstances that I don't feel prepared to turn that over to the government. So that, you and I will differ on that. And that's just a place where I differ. And I understand your position. I have tremendous respect for you for having that kind of absolute moral clarity on that position. But I think it's more nuanced and complex than that.
I think it's more nuanced and complex than that. And this is the thing is, so he has every right to have that opinion. I do believe that RFK in some ways a little bit, he's not totally like fleshed out in terms of that opinion. He hasn't really fully thought it out. And he makes that clear, and multiple times he stumbles consistently in how he's like, well, I don't think that the government actually knows exactly what they're thinking, and I don't think the government should insert itself into that issue, and so maybe we should just, that's how he sounds. But that's like, he doesn't really know. And so for all of you conservatives out there, the main reason I show this is because for all of you conservatives out there, genuine conservatives who are in any way pro-life and see the value of an unborn child, RFK is not your man. And it also even kind of says to me that some of his big pharma talk is to pander to conservatives, because if you really cared about how predatory big pharma is, then you would care about pills like mifepristone, and you would care about their investment into organizations like Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood has so much money. You don't realize how much money Planned Parenthood has. And the reason why, and actually it's important because a leftist talking point exposes this. A leftist talking point is that Planned Parenthood is not just an abortion provider. They do more than that. That's what lefties will always say. And when they say that, they mean, oh, like they give out condoms and they do like mammograms and check out different parts of feminine health and different parts of health, of sexual health and everything like that. Yeah, okay, maybe they do that like 10% of the time, if that. But what they also do is they are huge, huge, huge fundraisers. They themselves are a PAC, essentially. I'm sure they have their own PAC. I don't know every little detail about their FEC filings, but I know that they do a significant amount of election work. And in fact, abortion, just as much as it was in 2022, will be a major issue coming up in 2024. In fact, out of the Daily Wire, Planned Parenthood is to spend $10 million against pro-life candidates in a single state in 2024. $10 million in one state against pro-life candidates for 2024. Planned Parenthood, out of the Daily Wire, will be spending millions of dollars to campaign against pro-life candidates in North Carolina for the 2024 election, as Republicans attempt to gain control of the governor's mansion. Planned Parenthood Votes, Planned Parenthood Action PAC, North Carolina. So I was right. They have a bunch of different PACs. They said on Thursday that they would be spending $10 million in support of pro-abortion candidates. The groups also said they want to knock on over 1 million doors in opposition to Republican Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson's campaign for governor. Emily Thompson of Planned Parenthood Votes said, quote, "Our goal is clear: to protect abortion access in North Carolina. We must ensure voters know abortion is on the ballot this year. Money will be spent on digital advertising, phone banking, mailers, and efforts at college campuses. According to the Associated Press, Democrats have focused on making abortion a key issue in the 2024 election, hoping to drive out the vote of abortion supporters. North Carolina, a 2024 battleground state, was narrowly won by former President Donald Trump in 2016 and 2020. As we head into November, all eyes are on North Carolina because abortion access across the entire region will be determined by the results of this election." Thompson told the New York Times earlier this week, "Our success is absolutely critical this year to protect abortion access and defend bodily autonomy of every North Carolinian." Last year, Republican-controlled state legislator overrode Democratic Governor Roy Cooper's veto of a law protecting unborn children at 12 weeks. It's obviously a very, very contentious law in North Carolina. North Carolina is considered to be somewhat of a battleground state that leans Republican. And so that is why Planned Parenthood is investing so much money. The other reason is because in certain demographics or certain states and certain areas, Planned Parenthood need not invest in a state like Illinois or a state like California. Planned Parenthood need not invest that much. They'll donate a little bit to campaigns, but because people like Gavin Newsom will create their own abortion advertisements, one of which I covered just the other day. They will create their own abortion advertisements in which they will talk about that issue themselves. Not only that, the DNC makes it a major talking point, because what the DNC does is they push this idea that abortion is the end all be all. Abortion, if you let them get to abortion, then they basically have won. That abortion is going to, if there's any ban to abortion, then somehow women are not going to be allowed to go to school. Women are not going to be allowed to read. All of a sudden, somehow, if you don't have abortion access, then no woman is able to read anymore, and they can't drive cars. And like that's the lie they sell. In fact, I even got caught onto in a few other topics when it comes to abortion that are really fascinating to me. This was not in my plans to bring up, and I think it's really important to discuss. Andrea says Planned Parenthood does not do mammograms. I'm sorry, I didn't know, but like I will recognize that Planned Parenthood does other things. One of the other things that they do besides kill babies is fundraise a lot for the killing of babies, and probably every once in a while like flush a toilet. I don't know, whatever. But Joe Biden did one of the most disrespectful things ever. Joe Biden, who is, I believe, our first self-proclaimed Catholic president since JFK. And the reason why I say he's self-proclaimed is because I don't actually believe he's Catholic. Anybody who supports abortion, you're not a practicing Catholic by any means. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show, because and it will directly relate. But I want to talk about this clip right here. I don't know if you heard that, but Joe Biden was actually, no, you didn't. Joe Biden was seen doing the sign of the cross at an abortion event. Take a look and listen.
And then we come back here to the state of Florida, where Ron DeSantis felt like he needed to run for president. And so 15 weeks wasn't good enough. We had to go to 6 weeks.
Wait, did you guys see that? Did you see that? Out of nowhere, Joe Biden does the sign of the cross. Take one more look. And let's also listen to what she's saying when he does this.
Needed to run for president. And so 15 weeks wasn't good enough. We had to go to 6 weeks.
Do you guys see that? So she's discussing when Ron DeSantis, exactly what he had to do with abortion, and he invokes the sign of the cross. Now, if he is genuinely a Catholic, this is very, very important. It's important to discuss this because in Catholic tradition, the sign of the cross, some people do it colloquially, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. That is significant. Me just doing that right now is significant meaning. What is that is doing is that is saying that is a clear invoking of the Trinity, because you hit the Father, you hit the Son, and you hit the Holy Spirit. You've done the sign of the cross. You've called upon the Trinity. You are basically saying, now you could talk to God at any time. God is omnipresent, but it's saying, hey, this is a moment in which I am invoking you. I'm bringing you into this moment with me clearly. And I am feeling your presence through the Trinity. And he is doing that at an event in which they are discussing the murder of unborn children. It is probably one of the most disrespectful things Joe Biden has ever done. People often discuss the idea of using the Lord's name in vain. Somebody using Jesus Christ's name and saying in an explanation or an exclamation rather than using it in the actual definitive term. This is similar, almost, if not even worse, than doing something like that. This is an instance in which you are calling upon the Trinity while also celebrating unborn children's murder. It's absolutely disgusting. But that's Joe Biden for you. Somebody who has no true care for anybody but himself at all. And no, he's not actually a Catholic. He's not actually anybody that believes in anything further than that. And he doesn't actually, if he actually is any level of a Catholic, he has a lot of repentance to do to get there. But when we discussed that idea that I was talking about earlier of a liberal versus a conservative, a Christian, a Christian that is a liberal, a Christian that's a conservative, progressive Christianity, as that one lefty lefty preacher tried to preach. I found this video. I've been watching these videos, and I will give him a shout out. I've not met this guy. I want to bring him. Maybe I'll bring him onto the show sometime because I think he's absolutely fascinating. But I want to react to this video. I have not watched it all, but there's been this guy, as I've been getting even deeper into my faith of Catholicism. I watch a lot of his videos because he describes the differences between different sectors of Christianity, and he does so in a very intellectual and beautiful beautiful way that is also kind of nonpartisan. He has his own belief systems, but he also does it because he's not a Catholic, and he describes a lot of this stuff in a way that's just amazing. And so he has this video out here. His name's Redeemed Zoomer. Everybody go check out Redeemed Zoomer. Not that he needs my support. He's doing very, very well for himself, but liberal versus conservative Christians explained. Let's take a look, and we're going to react to this video together.
Liberal Christians like to argue about who's more of a true Christian. The liberals feel like the conservatives make Christianity look bad by being bigoted, and the conservatives feel like the liberals don't take the faith seriously because they don't follow Christian beliefs. But it's not an either or. It's more of a spectrum, and at the heart of it, it doesn't have anything to do with politics. It actually has to do with how they see the faith differently. The more theologically conservative you are, the more narrow a view you have of who counts as true Christian.
Makes sense, kind of. Let's keep watching.
Until the most conservative people are like, if you don't agree with me on every little thing, you're going to hell. And the most progressive people are like, yeah, even if you don't believe in God, you can still be a Christian because you can't judge people. So where's the middle of the spectrum? Well, it changes. And
I like the voice he did for liberals because that's kind of the voice that I do for liberals.
It's all relative based on historical circumstance, but these days the dividing line seems to be the question of whether pastors can be women. Let's move to stage one. Stage one progressivism is called Christian guilt. Progressive Christianity begins with the idea that Christianity needs to change or progress, and the only reason it would need to progress is if it's been bad historically. It starts with believing the modern accusations that Christianity has contributed to injustice and oppression. So stage one progressives identify as Christian but feel a bit uneasy about Christianity. If you are a Christian and you have positive feelings about Christianity, then congrats, you're just a normal Christian. If you're not Christian and don't have positive feelings about Christianity, then you're a regular non-Christian. But if you are Christian and still don't have positive feelings about Christianity, that's the first stage to being a progressive Christian.
So that's like this. I like this guy because I feel like he actually explains it in a very, very educated way. I'm not trying to tell you that you're wrong for what you believe or you're right for what you believe or anything like that. He's just saying like, this is like, if you claim to be a Christian and you don't have positive feelings about Christianity, then you are in your early stages of progressive Christianity. And it makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. What I will say, though, is that if you're a Christian and you don't feel positive about Christianity, it's probably because you're brainwashed by society to believe that Christianity is bad because that's the way that our secular society acts. Because in reality, it's the devil who works through secular society, because he'd much rather a secular and atheist society, because that society doesn't believe in him, doesn't talk about him, doesn't believe in his existence. And that makes it a lot easier for him to move about and work in each and every one of our lives if you don't even recognize his existence.
So if you hear certain Christians talk about deconstructing more conservative forms of Christianity or trying to separate themselves from conservative Christians more than separating themselves from non-Christians, that often is the groundwork for the rest of progressive Christianity. So stage one thinks the church needs to change, which causes stage two to have a disordered focus. This applies to many mainline Protestant churches that still believe the Christian faith on paper, but chances are it's not what you're going to hear preached on a Sunday morning. Instead, they're going to talk about things like social justice. You're a lot more likely to hear them talk about earthly matters like the environment or politics or racial justice than things like sin, salvation, and heaven, even if they still technically believe in those things.
See, like, that's the thing. And I kind of like where this guy's going with it, because the way that he's making, I mean, like, if you're going to church and you're not talking about church, then are you even really at church? If you're going to church and you're talking about the environment, politics, and racial justice, and you're not talking about the Bible, your salvation, what like the end goal is, Then are you even really at church? Or are you just at a political rally?
So stage 2 still believes the Bible, but stage 3 is when you get to scripture denial, where they challenge the Bible's authority, especially on matters of gender and sexuality. They'll still use the Bible, but they think it can be wrong. So when you have LGBTQ affirming churches, that's an example of this. They're also usually universalist, or at least implicitly universalist, because these churches will still believe in Jesus, but think that there's also other paths to God. Since the Bible has Jesus clearly talking about hell and saying he's the only way to salvation, a church kind of has to deny the authority of Scripture to be universalist, which they often do.
And that's exactly where you get idiots like this dude who come up and say things like this.
Is holy. There has been an assault on the rights of drag performers in this country, and we must call out the hypocrisy and the injustice. Jesus called himself a mother hen longing to gather up her chicks.
I'm sorry, I just had to keep bringing it back up. We'll get back to the video now.
Stage 3 removes Scripture as a foundation, which leads to stage 4, which is explicit heresy. This is where people expand their view of what Christianity is so wide it goes well beyond the bounds of Nicene orthodoxy. The Nicene Creed is an early church document that said what Christianity is. It includes basic beliefs like the Trinity, that Jesus rose from the dead, that Jesus is God, and the virgin birth. But heresy is when people begin to question all of these things. People in this stage will say things like, it doesn't matter if Jesus really rose from the dead historically. What matters is that it inspires us to do social justice and reconciliation.
Which, once again, like, that's not even Christianity to some extent. So I think the way that when he says progressive Christianity, it's not really Christianity, but he's using the definition as society has deemed it. As like, okay, well, people call themselves progressive Christians, so that's what it is. But like at that point, you're not even a Christian. If you don't believe in the fundamental definition of Christianity, then you're not a Christian. That's like, it's literally like being like, hey, that's like me coming out and saying I'm a liberal. Or I'm a progressive. I guess I could say kind of I'm a liberal. That's like me saying I'm a progressive. But I don't actually believe anything that progressives believe in. But like I say that I might kind of. Almost, but I don't. Like, it's just simply definitively untrue.
So for people in this stage, Christianity is really not a system of beliefs. It's just a community of faith, not faith in any specific belief, but a common commitment to social justice. Now, people in stage 4 still believe in God in some sense, but people in stage 5 are essentially agnostic. This applies to a lot of Unitarian Universalists who literally do not believe in God, so the only difference between them and actual atheists is they at least think religion can be useful in some sense, whereas regular atheists generally don't. They don't really see God as a being that actually objectively exists. Rather, they ask, how can the idea of a loving God inspire us to do social justice? But for them, basically everything about Christianity is metaphorical. Well, those are the stages of progressive Christianity. Now let's talk about the degrees of conservative Christianity.
I think he's actually like got a pretty good handle on this. Like, I think let's look at some of the comments here real quick. Let's see. So I see, to me, is represent. I think that's talking about Biden from earlier. My pastor started with the LGBTQ stuff for the past 3 weeks. So today I stood up and called him out for leading the flock astray and told him he was a disgrace to the faith in a pulpit. Absolutely. Absolutely. Call him out. Call him out and then leave that church, and then call for others to leave that church in the middle too. That's the thing. Make it public. Do not let these people get away with this stuff because it is directly countering what Scripture says. Leviticus discusses that a man shall not lay with a man. If he does, it's an abomination. Genesis discusses that God created man and woman. He created them. Created woman from Adam's rib and more. So good for you, Andrea. They asked me not to return to church. If I were you, you wouldn't want to. You wouldn't want to. Like, tell them to, in the most Christian way possible, tell them to put it where the sun don't shine. But let's keep going with this. Degrees of conservative Christianity. I'm interested to see how he lights this out.
Christianity. I think it makes sense to call the levels of progressivism stages because progressive Christianity is, well, progressive. Meaning that if someone's at all on the progressive side of the spectrum, they're very likely to keep moving or progressing in a progressive direction. But it makes sense to call the levels of conservatism degrees, because if someone's somewhere on the conservative side, they're not necessarily going to move in one direction or the other. Also, the degrees of conservatism are less about what you actually believe and more about what you're willing to tolerate in the church. For example, the first degree of conservatism is where you're not only against female pastors, but you think any church with a female pastor is a false church.
Okay, I'm a part of this one. That's what we're going to do for this side. It's let's find where Kevin falls off. Let's see. But I'm a part of this one.
Because there are some more moderate conservatives who are like, yeah, I don't support female pastors, but if a church has one, it's not the end of the world. But no, in this degree, you think that if a church has a female pastor, it shows that the church is not following the Bible at all and therefore cannot be trusted as a legitimate church. The second degree of conservatism is where you think biblical inerrancy is non-negotiable. The church has always seen the Bible as infallible, which means we can't question the Bible, and we must obey the Bible's authority on all matters of faith and practice. However, inerrant means something different. Inerrant means the original manuscripts of the Bible have no detail errors at all and no inconsistencies. This kind of developed in reaction against some of the more liberal views of Scripture. So if someone says, I think the Bible's infallible, but it might have some detail errors, these people are going to be like, shut up, liberal.
See, I'm not necessarily, I'm in between on that one because I believe that the Bible was created by man and man is inherently fallible. And so thus there was definitely something in there that might have been wrong. But like the overall messages of everything were absolutely correct and true. So I don't know. Let's see if I'm at number 3, and then we'll kind of see how much of number 2 I'm actually in.
The third degree of conservatism is where you're strictly a young earth creationist. Some Christians think the 6 days of creation in Genesis 1 might represent something else, and other Christians think the earth was created in 6 literal 24-hour days around 6,000 years ago. Both of these views have existed throughout all of church history, but people in this degree think that young earth creationism is the only acceptable view, and Christians must not believe anything else. The next...
I could question both of those. I mean, like, I'm just a radical skeptic, so I could see both arguments. I guess I haven't looked enough into it. I got to check it out.
Degree is denominational exclusivism, where you think only your specific type of Christianity is real Christianity. This is where you get Catholics who think only Catholics are saved, or Orthodox who think only Orthodox are saved, or Calvinists who think only Calvinists are saved, or Baptists who think only Baptists are saved. This seems kind of weird to a lot of us, but to be fair, it was very common back in the day for different denominations to damn each other.
Yeah, here's the thing is I'm not damning anybody else for being a Christian. Unless you're like the stage like 2 through 5 progressive. But like everybody else, like I'm a Catholic. I believe Catholics are right. But within that belief in Catholic faith allows for other denominations to also be right. Just saying.
But these days, most Christians have gotten past that. And in the highest stage, you get into some very right-wing things like ethno-nationalism. The vast majority of Christians across the world have decided that racism is bad, but some people in this group are not so sure about that. Luckily, these people generally only exist on the internet and not in real life. So it's important to remember, just because someone's more liberal than you doesn't mean they're a Bible-hating atheist, or maybe just because someone's more conservative than you doesn't mean they're a total fascist. So when deciding where you fall on this graph, it's important to consider, where would Jesus be?
Yeah, I think that is important. And I'd say probably I'm around like a 3. I'm probably like a 3 on that graph. That's what I'd say. I'd say I'm probably like a 3. I'm not a crazy liberal or anything like that, but I'm not necessarily, I'm not a fascist on it. So I think I'm pretty good. I think I'm pretty reasonable. But yeah, you guys should go check out Redeem Zoomer. I'm trying to get the graph back up here because I thought that was kind of cool. But you guys should go check out Redeem Zoomer. Pretty cool guy. Does a lot of cool videos. I'm going to get to the comments here soon, but just to remind everybody, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the comments. I'm sorry, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, all that fun stuff. I'd really appreciate it. Especially subscribe no matter where you're watching from. Go check me out, Speechless with Kev Phares on YouTube. Speechless with Kev is all you got to Google. It should be the first thing that comes up. Speechless with Kev, and you can find all my content on YouTube. Best place to be. 7 days a week. 7 days a week, I have content of some kind. 7 days a week, I will have new content. Pretty much 6 to 7 days a week, we'll always have new content. 7 days a week, we'll always have some level of content released. So if you always want something new, if you always want something from me, and if you always want something that's fast, even if it's in long form, it will be fast, then check out Speechless with Kev, no matter where you're watching from. I'd really appreciate it. But let's get to some of these comments here. I'm curious what you guys had to say about any of this. Let's go up. I see Andrea joined, and I've noticed Andrea joined, and I've just been going. I've been on a roll. And so I've had a lot of fun talking about a lot of different things here. And so let's get to a lot of these different comments. No matter where you're watching from, you can comment. I can pull it up on screen. Demon Girl wants to be friends with Andrea. That's beautiful. When did Demon Girl out here looking like a snack? Thank you very much. I appreciate you. My girlfriend would also probably very much agree, just so you know. She laughs because she's a child. That's back to Kamala Harris. Yes, Kamala. Common Sense, I think you might have been a little bit behind, but I do want to make sure I give a huge shout out to Common Sense. Thank you so much for sending the super chat. The super chat is amazing. I really do appreciate the super chat. I do want to say too, super chats, while they are super appreciated, and keep sending them if that's what you can do. Also consider if you want to support the show through Venmo or Cash App. I can see on my phone that whether or not you send through Venmo or Cash App, and I will shout you out through that too. Super chats take like 30% of what you send me and give it to YouTube. So if you send a Venmo or Cash App, it'll go directly to me. But I do appreciate super chats. I'm not going to pretend like I don't. I absolutely do. And so thank you so much for sending that super chat, Common Sense. I just wanted to let everybody know. Let's make sure I get to all these different comments here. Let's give Kev some hearts. Thank you so much. Thank you. Please give him some hearts wherever you're watching from. Like this video. If Catholics had any stones at all, they would demand Biden is excommunicated, but they are cowards, so they don't. Okay, well, I literally say he should be excommunicated all the time. And I'm pretty sure there's other pastors. I mean, there's people that will deny him communion in America. So I will say, Andrea, right here, a Catholic that apparently has stones, Biden should be excommunicated from the church. He absolutely should be. I mean, like, if you're going to be out here, he either needs to be excommunicated, or he needs to come out and sponsor. I mean, he can't sponsor legislation, but he needs to expressly and verbally advocate to protect the unborn through legislation. That would be the way that he would be able to stay in the church, in my opinion. To me, he was representing evil in regards to Biden using the cross, potentially. We don't care if a dude wants to wear a dress. We don't want him to wear, we don't want him anywhere near kids. Yeah, true. Do not go to Fannie Willis's church then. I want to go to a progressive church. I actually really want to go to a progressive church, and I just want to like sit and listen, maybe videotape a little bit, react a little bit. I would love to go to a very progressive church. Maybe I'll try to find one near me, and I just think it'd be very fun. Like, I think I would have a lot of fun. It would make me really angry, and it'd be a little bit of torture, but I think it'd be really fun to go to a progressive church. I would want to check it out. Jim, right? I'm sorry, but a guy who wants to be a girl is a mental sickness. Absolutely common sense. I have a lot of respect to someone who has courage to stand up and call people out. I do too, Andrea. I'm very proud of you on that one. Oh, then you would love me when I go to Brian Fitzpatrick, who is our state rep. I absolutely degrade him. The sheriff carries me out. Andrea, you need to send me a video of these things. You have my email. And if anybody else needs it, but send me a video. I want to see this. This is absolutely hilarious. Send me an email, speechlesskp@gmail.com. Send me an email. Anybody can send me an email too. I check it daily. I have a reaction video I'm doing to somebody else's YouTube and stuff that you'll be able to see. It'll be really good. But I just get dragged out for yelling at your state rep. I love it. Andrea and Demon Goral are becoming friends. That's just beautiful. I love people who join the speechless community. That's what we got here. We got the speechless community. It's absolutely amazing. And I love it. So definitely be a part of the speechless community, everybody. And also, I want to, while I have everybody that is watching here right now, all these people, a lot of these people on my YouTube right now that are faithful, that always watch when they can, make sure you're ringing that notification bell and putting it to all. And if you can, try to tune in throughout the week too. I got different live streams throughout the week that with Breakaway USA people, but your comments, they get brought up on the screen, even through those ones. And I'd love for you guys to tune in if you could. Just check it out. Keep an eye on my channel because recently there's been problems, and I don't know if you can still hear me, but I do see my computer is freezing up, which is just absolutely beautiful. Give me one moment to try to reset this, and we will try to make this all work. Give me 1 sec. I'm going to fix this. I swear. Just give me 1 sec, everybody. I will be right back. And I am back. I am so once again sorry for having that happen in all of its beautiful and sad, kind of sad glory. But I am back. Do not worry. Not done yet. But I don't know when it froze or anything like that. I'm so sorry to you guys for that. But as I was saying, please follow the channel closely because I have some great content that will consistently come out. And so thank you guys for watching. Big Bang Theory, please explain that. So where does evolution come into this? These are some great questions. Common sense. Here's what I want you to do. Please send me an email. Email me, speechlesskp@gmail.com with your questions, and I will try to come up with good videos that answer a lot of these. I will do everything in my power to do that. I see some other, because I don't have all the answers right here, and I could try to come up with some. I saw you guys could hear me through that. Once again, sorry about that. This is what happens. My equipment, I'm still consistently trying to upgrade and make better and better and better. And so I hope that I can do that. And if you want to support the show, like I said, you can super chat. You can become a member on YouTube. You can become a member too. If you want to become a member, go do that. Ring that notification bell, hit it to all. You could shoot me any of those. I'd appreciate all that. Let's get through a few more comments here and you guys can go, okay, how do we do that? I don't know which one you're asking me about how you do what, but once again, you can send me an email. You want a Trump impersonation? You like the Trump impersonation? I don't know. Some people, they don't like it, but I'll tell you, it's huge. It's absolutely huge. This Trump impersonation, some people, they say it could be maybe, I don't say it, but I hear other people say it, that it could be maybe one of the best Trump impersonations that they see from a podcaster on YouTube at any time. And I will tell you that this Speechless with Kev guy, you should all go right now, Google Speechless with Kev. If you're not watching on YouTube, Google Speechless with Kev. And you should like this video. You should subscribe to it. You should subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. Ring that notification bell. Hit it to all. And then if you're really feeling spicy, if you're feeling good, if you're feeling like you'd like to be a part of it, a part of the community, because I build a community. I build it. They say, if you build it, they will come. And I built it, so they came to the Speechless community. And they commented right down there in the comments. They put it down there. And then some people asked to make it stop, so I did. And that's what I did. But a lot of people say it might be the best. It might be the best. I love it. This is beautiful. Brian Fitzpatrick hates you because you call him out on all of his traitorous votes like gun legislation. Demon Girl, you're in the minority on this one. You're in the minority. I don't know. I don't know. You guys are so beautiful. And I've loved with the new RNC. Hope that won't happen. Because you should win in a landslide. Beautiful, beautiful things that I'm seeing all in the comments section. You guys are amazing. You guys are amazing. everything. I love that you guys are a part of this community that I've created with Speechless. I love that you support me in the way you do. I do this for you guys. Make sure you guys are tuning in all the time. Every video that you see, give it a like. Every short, every clip that I do, every live stream, give it a like. Share it with a friend. If you put it on Facebook, did you know that the algorithm of YouTube knows that if you share my link on Facebook, the algorithm knows, and it's more likely to show it to other people. If you put it on Facebook, if you go share this on Facebook, on Twitter, with your followings, even if it's like 10 people, that's fine. I don't care. We need to grow this even more. We do. Because there's a lot of people out there that are speechless, and we will bring them in. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. But I hope you guys had an absolutely wonderful Sunday. And I'd like to end quickly by letting you know I'm praying for you. And please, please pray for me. God bless you guys. God bless America. And until next time, you've been watching Speechless.